In the vast annals of religious history, few questions have stirred as much controversy and intrigue as the one posed by the ancient texts of the Hebrew Bible. Is there a goddess inside Israel's God? This question cuts to the core of one of the most fundamental and enduring beliefs in Western civilization: the nature of the divine. It challenges the traditional view of a singular male god and opens the door to a more complex and nuanced understanding of the divine presence. As we delve into this inquiry, we will explore the historical, cultural, and theological contexts that have shaped this debate. And ultimately, we will arrive at a conclusion that may defy our expectations. The ancient world of Israel was a place where gender roles were rigidly defined. Women were often seen as subordinate and were rarely given positions of power or authority. This societal structure is reflected in the biblical texts, which frequently portray women in secondary roles. For instance, in Isaiah chapter 3, verses 12, the prophet describes a dystopian future where children are their oppressors and women rule over them. This passage suggests that a society ruled by women is a sign of divine judgment and chaos, indicating a deep-seated bias against female leadership. However, the Bible is not entirely devoid of powerful female figures. Women like Deborah, Jael, and Bathsheba are celebrated for their courage and strategic thinking. Deborah, a prophetess and judge, led Israel to victory against the Canaanites, while Jael killed the enemy general Sisera by driving a tent peg through his skull. Bathsheba, through her cunning, secured the throne for her son Solomon. These stories, while exceptional, show that women could wield significant influence and were sometimes praised for their actions. Despite these examples, the overarching narrative of the Hebrew Bible emphasizes a male-dominated divine presence. The God of Israel, Yahweh, is consistently portrayed as a powerful male deity. This portrayal is rooted in the cultural and religious context of ancient Israel, where the Canaanite god El, the sky god, and his consort Asherah, the goddess of fertility, were prominent figures. When the Israelites adopted Yahweh as their primary deity, they may have initially integrated elements of El and Asherah into their understanding of God. However, over time, Yahweh became a singular male deity, and the worship of Asherah was increasingly suppressed and condemned. The exclusion of Asherah from the worship of Yahweh is a critical point in this discussion. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 18, the text states, "You were unmindful of the rock that begot you, and you forgot the God who gave you birth." This verse, while ambiguous, suggests a dual nature of God, with both male and female attributes. However, the dominant narrative in the Hebrew Bible emphasizes Yahweh's masculinity and his rejection of feminine elements. This rejection is evident in the fierce denunciations of Asherah worship, particularly in the books of the prophets. Jeremiah, for example, mocks those who worship wooden and stone idols, and the placement of an Asherah pole in Yahweh's temple by King Manasseh is seen as a grave offense that provokes divine wrath. The exclusion of the feminine from the character of God is not a mere absence, but an active rejection. This rejection is rooted in the historical and cultural context of ancient Israel, where the influence of Canaanite religion was seen as a threat to the purity of Yahweh worship. The Israelites, in their quest to establish a distinct religious identity, sought to distance themselves from the polytheistic practices of their neighbors. This process of religious purification involved the exclusion of feminine elements from the divine, leading to a God who is primarily, if not exclusively, male. However, the exclusion of the feminine does not mean that it is entirely absent from the character of God. In Isaiah chapter 66, verses 12 to 13, God uses maternal imagery to describe his relationship with Israel. As one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem. This use of maternal imagery is significant because it suggests that God is capable of embodying both masculine and feminine attributes. While these attributes are metaphorical, they reflect a deeper truth about the nature of the divine. God is not limited to a single gender or role, but is a complex and multifaceted being. The use of maternal imagery in the later prophetic books, particularly Isaiah and Malachi, is part of a broader shift in the character of God. In the aftermath of the Babylonian captivity, the Israelites returned to their homeland with a renewed understanding of their relationship with God. This period of reflection and re-evaluation led to a more nuanced and compassionate portrayal of God. The metaphorical language of God as a mother, a father, a husband, and a lover reflects a deeper sense of intimacy and tenderness in the divine-human relationship. This shift in the character of God is not a return to the earlier integration of feminine elements, but a new synthesis that incorporates both masculine and feminine attributes. God is no longer a distant, stern judge, but a loving and compassionate deity who is deeply invested in the well-being of his people. This transformation is evident in the prophetic books, where God is described as a comforter, a healer, and a redeemer. The use of these metaphors is not an attempt to feminize God, but to convey the fullness of his character, which transcends human gender categories. In conclusion, the question of whether there is a goddess inside Israel's God is a complex and multifaceted one. The Hebrew Bible presents a God who is primarily male, but is capable of embodying both masculine and feminine attributes. The exclusion of the feminine from the character of God is not a mere absence, but an active rejection rooted in the historical and cultural context of ancient Israel. However, the later prophetic books reveal a more nuanced and compassionate portrayal of God, one that incorporates both masculine and feminine elements. Ultimately, the nature of the divine is beyond human categories of gender and is best understood as a complex and multifaceted being who is both father and mother, judge and comforter, and creator and redeemer.